Today's video will explain the design description. Hello, I'm James Helfrich. A design description is a large document describing a complex application with many views. Many people associate the design description with the waterfall methodology as described by Wilson Royce. However, it is even useful today in the modern world of agile development. This video will define a design description as well as describe how to use it to communicate design ideas to other members of the development team. So a software design description is a large document consisting of a collection of views describing the system from a variety of perspectives. If the details are sufficiently worked out and the views are well described, then any reasonably competent development team should be able to turn the STD into working code. The STD is one of a collection of documents designed to describe various parts of the software development process. And so, for an example, we have a requirements document, and this captures the client's needs and what the software needs to do to be considered successful. We have the interface design, who is to use the system, how to process input, and how the output features are to behave. We have the design description, how the software will be built, including the overall system design, data storage strategies, and algorithms. We have the test plan, all the test cases and how the tests will be conducted. And we have operating instructions, instructions on how the user will use the system. This is the only document the user ever sees. So we're going to talk about the design description today. Now, the purpose of the SCD is to accurately and concisely communicate design ideas. And it consists of three sections: the front matter, the design views, and the back matter. The front matter is rarely more than a couple pages. The design view consists of the vast majority of the document, and the back matter is only utilized in a case-by-case basis. So the front matter is to inform any reader what is to be built, who sponsored the project, how to know if the project is successful, and any related work that may impact the project. The design views consists of a collection of views, each of which is a perspective on the overall system. And finally, the back matter is appendices, glossaries, abbreviations, and anything else may be needed to explain the intent of the design. So let's talk about these in turn. So each part of the front matter is designed to answer a specific question. For an example, is this the latest copy? And how close to being finished? And that's the date and status. What exactly is the system we're building? What's covered in the SCD? And perhaps more importantly, what is not? And that's the scope. Who do I contact if I have any questions? That's the authorship. What other documents will I need to read to understand this document? That's the references. What has changed since the last copy I read? And that's the change history. Who should I contact if I'd like to suggest a change to the design? What considerations should I take into account? And that's the stakeholders. And what design language will be used to describe the design? This is the viewpoints. These are all part of the front matter. Now, the body of the document is the design views. The design views section is a collection of views, each of which is a perspective on the system. Each view has two parts. The first part is the design representation. This can be a component diagram, a data flow diagram, a structure chart, a flow chart, an entity relationship diagram, or any other design view which may be useful for representing a design idea. Now, seldom do these design representations stand on their own. Oftentimes, we need design information. And this helps me understand, number one, what's the name of this view and its number? Number two, what is it trying to represent? Its design concerns. Number three, what are the specific elements? Number four, what viewpoint is it? Is it a class diagram, entity relationship diagram, or whatever? And finally, references. What do I have to look at to provide more information about where this came from or more details about a specific element in this design view? So for an example, here we have a component diagram consisting of a server and two clients, a mobile client and a web portal. Now we're going to call this design view number one, and its purpose is the overall system view. And this is going to cover requirements 1.0 through 2.9, and each element, mobile client, web portal, server, business logic, database, these are all the elements that I'm going to talk about in more detail. And this is a component diagram. Now, the last part is the back matter, and this could be empty, but more often than not, we need to add some additional information to make the design description understandable. Perhaps the most useful element in the back matter is something called requirement traceability matrix. The back matter includes appendices, like a glossary or list of abbreviations or anything else that may be needed to explain the design. Perhaps the most common and useful is something called a requirements traceability matrix. And this maps the requirements, in this case on the column headers, to the design views on the row headers. For an example, if I take a look at design view number two, server, I can see there are two requirements that it helps implement. 3.1.2 HRE and 3.2.3 reject. I can also see that design view number 5 doesn't map to any requirements, which is kind of red flag. Why do we have it if it doesn't help with the functionality? And perhaps most concerning, 3.2.1 login, that requirement does not have any views corresponding to it, which means that that requirement is probably not met. You can learn more about design descriptions in the design descriptions section of the design descriptions chapter of the software design textbook.